What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Conspiracy or Just a Coincidence. I am very fortunate tonight. My good friend Bob's Lessons has agreed to do 2 weeks in a row. And also, if you guys didn't know, Bob lost his hamster yesterday. Well, Bob, how are you? Thanks for coming on the show, dude. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing much better. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, they're like, lost his hamster. What are you talking about? This hamster, since I can't have like dogs, cats, because I'm highly allergic to a lot of it. So
Okay.
me and my girlfriend got a hamster 2 years ago, and it kind of became a part of the culture, like the No Mercy 4 Deep culture, where there was a lot of funny stories with this hamster. So he kind of became like an all-star and like a rock star within the community. But cool hamster, man, never bit me, even when I was annoying the crap out of it. And just he almost acted like a dog, and so it was a sad day for the No Mercy 4 Deep and for Bob's Lessons household. He passed away cancer 3 days ago. We had a little funeral for him. Yeah, man. Yeah. So here's the funny thing. I will say this,
go.
and I didn't know this was. I didn't know that people don't take their hamsters to vets. I took the hamster to a vet, and they were like, "We've never seen one before. We need to find a specialist." Yeah, and all the other people in there were like looking at me like I was crazy. I'm holding this like they had to put it on a digital scale that you weigh like weed on, and it was like 0.4. And like none of the nurses would give it shots because it was so small. So we had to wait for like a specialist to come in, and then I had to give it like pain stuff and like antibiotics. It was an interesting week, but he lived a good life, man. It was he was
the only hamster story I have about is we were about to do it was a while ago, maybe a year or two ago. We were about to do a show, and I think your hamster escaped, and you like ripped apart like your $500 speakers where did he end up being?
That was one of the famous ones because I think we're on like a live stream or something, and I'm in the middle of let's say we're talking about Epstein Island. All of a sudden, I'm like, what the is that? And I hear this scratching, and I look over, and it's my $500 QSC speaker that I use every weekend. And I hear scratching, so I have to take the speaker apart without breaking it. And he's in the one spot that I have to tear open the cone in order to get. I don't know how he got in there, but I destroyed a $500 speaker, to get this hand. That was the only time I actually wanted to kill the damn thing. But, goes a $500 speaker, but it was totally worth it. He came out looking like Nick Nolte too. You know that Nick Nolte mugshot? His hair was all like matted and like. So there's a famous picture of him that looks like
been through
Nick
some
Nolte.
shit.
It's a cool pet, man. I mean, they sleep most of the day. Kind of like me.
Yeah.
They're nocturnal, so it was perfect for my skin.
How long? And you said you had it for how long do they live normally?
2 to 3 years. We had it about just north of 2.5 years. So he did all right.
Are you? So you're allergic to all dogs, cats.
I'll be honest, I was allergic to Baz, but he, like I said, he weighed less than a pound. So I could take that much better than I could take, a dog, a cat. Cats are the worst. Yeah. If you line up 100 houses and say a cat was in one of them, I could walk in and tell you which house a cat was in within probably 20 seconds. That's how bad it is. Yeah.
My wife's allergic to her cat, but she's like gotten almost immune to it a little bit. And I got a nice ass Dyson vacuum, so I have to do that. Yeah, and if anyone's thinking about getting in the vacuum, get a Dyson. It's so cool because you can see all the stuff that you collect. It's clear, so that it's like fun. You're like, wow, look at all this stuff I got off the floor.
You can see the progress that you're making.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I'll have to invest in that. I realized when I was young that I was highly allergic to stuff because I went to the Amish country. You've probably been there in Pennsylvania. We were in the horse and buggy, and all the horse hair was blowing in my face. And like 5 minutes into the ride, my face just like swelled up, and like my eyes were like swelled shut. And I was like
Will Smith.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. So I realized then that animals were not. I love animals, but I can't be around them. And it's so embarrassing because there's so many like social interactions you don't realize, like when you're not allergic to animals. Like, for example, if I just go to my mailbox and somebody I know is walking their dog, they're going to stop and say hi, and that dog's crawling all over me. That could end my day potentially. You know what I'm saying? At 12 o'clock, I go inside, my head hurts. Yeah, my day's ruined. So I have to like be an asshole. I have to like stay away from the damn.
Don't bring your dog to me.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is rough though. That is.
It's all right.
Are you thinking you're gonna get another one?
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not the kind of person that immediately goes for another pet. And I don't understand that. Like, I see a lot of people, their dogs die. You've had it for 15 years and you immediately get a puppy like the next week. And I think there needs to be a phase of mourning. I think 4 to 6 months minimum mourning phase of an animal that you loved before I think it's appropriate to get a new animal, especially one, like another hamster, or like if your dog dies, another dog, to fill that void. I think 4 to 6 months on a new animal is an appropriate mourning phase. What do you think?
I think that's fair. After this dog, I don't think, dude, dogs are like, cats are so chill. I'm a cat guy. And I know that like, that's not masculine, but cats
not
are
really
just chill, dude. They're just chill. Yeah.
I mean, cat, if I was not allergic to any animal and I had a choice between like a domesticated animal, I mean, cat would probably be in my top 2 or 3 because of like, they're self-sufficient for the most part.
Yes.
And dogs require a lot of attention. So I probably wouldn't get a dog, probably
a
wouldn't.
lot, dude. 6 a.m. every day I'm up.
Can't do it.
Goddamn cold. I didn't even want the dog. I was told it was coming in 2 years. And then, 2 weeks before we picked it up, it's actually, no, they have a new litter now. And then, and who takes it out at 6 and 10:30? You know who? The guy that didn't want it.
It's funny that you say that because Ashley has been like, oh, let's get a dog. And I swear to you, I told her this. I said, okay, see that stuffed animal there? If you wake up at 6 a.m. for a week and walk that stuffed animal around the apartment complex every morning at 6 a.m., I will get a dog for you.
That's a good rule.
And that ended it right there. It was over because she's not waking up at 6.
No, well, that's a good, and I said that, and then I got the card pulled, and we do have like homeless people where we live, and she's like, it's not safe to go out at 10 o'clock, and so what am I supposed to do? What like, God forbid. So,
listen, I get it. It was kind of like, when you're in high school and they give you like a baby for a week so that you don't want to get pregnant, you have to like feed it, and it like logs whether or not you're a good mom or something like that. They need to do that with animals because animals are not a Christmas present. They're a 15-year commitment. So when you get somebody a Christmas present that's a live, living thing, I mean, you really need to think about this. Like, you have to hire a dog sitter when you go out of town or take it with you, or you can't go out and party or like stay out because, you got to get home and feed the dogs, or, it takes a lot. Every day it takes a lot of your energy. So
people are just so dumb. They buy like these, like they'll buy like a race dog in an apartment, like,
dude.
So people, I mean, America is just so beyond dumb, but
that's why I will stand by that hamsters are one of the best house pets you can have because they sleep a majority of the time. And then when you want to cuddle with them, they're ready to cuddle, dude. Get one. They're great.
So the first topic, because we haven't talked, and so I wanted to talk about, because you and I were both like in the Trump camp, and now obviously we have this DeSantis thing going on. So I wanted your take on the Trump, the DeSantis, what's going to happen, and I got a few other questions about Florida, but first we'll start with that with you. With obviously, do you think they're both running? I'm guessing. What's your take on this, on what's going on here?
Here's my take. So I grew up listening to punk rock, and at the beginning, punk rock was authentic. It was organic. It was about the music. It wasn't about the image. And somewhere along the line, punk rock lost its authenticity, and it became a fad. It became just like anything else, a trend. And that's when I jumped off the punk rock bandwagon, and a lot of people did too, because then it didn't make sense. Once it became normalized and everything, that's kind of where I'm at with really just MAGA, Trump. The whole thing is where now it's like, it's almost like the caricature of it was before. Like at the beginning, it was an organic movement of deplorables. It was kind of like, it was a punk rock movement is what it was. And now it's become the clown show. It's become almost the same clown show, in my opinion. And it's going to piss a lot of people off that I say that, but it seems like a lot of the people that are leading the charge, that's really what it is. The people that are leading the charge are clowns, and the ones that are really in it for the right reasons. Cause there's a lot of people that are still in it for the right reasons. And I respect the shit out of them. they're the ones that are not getting the attention and the traction, and they're the ones that are getting kicked off of social media. And the clown show MAGA people are the ones that are, getting the blue check marks. So it's just like with anything else. And that's why I use music, is because look at the record deals. It's the clowns that are getting the record deals, and the real musicians that are playing in front of 20, 30 people and they can't get a record contract, So the ones that are willing to walk the walk and talk the talk, because you always wonder, like, and I'm rambling, but this is important. Like, no, I get fired for not getting the jab. Dan Bongino, who works for the same Cumulus media company that I did, said that you have to choose between me or the jab, or I'm not getting, because I'm not getting it. I was like, oh, Dan Bongino.
I didn't know that.
He still has a job, and why does he still have a job? And why am I jobless? Like what, what devils, what did he suck in order to keep his job? So, I think, in a very long-winded way, I don't care. And in a really, really long-winded way, this Trump DeSantis thing is kabuki theater is what I was trying to say. Not bukkake theater. It's kabuki theater, and it's counterproductive, man. Like, because if they really were about the same movement, which it seemed like DeSantis was on the Trump, thing, they would run together, dude. Like, I mean, that seems like a pretty powerful bill. Why would Trump turn around and go after a guy that was in his camp? And to be honest with you, as far as a governor's concerned, had the best COVID stance of any state, by far. You could say what you want about DeSantis, but I wanted to move to Florida during COVID because, sun's out, guns out down there. And so now Trump's attacking DeSantis, and I never really caught on to DeSantis. Like, we talk about a No Mercy a lot, about how it's almost like we're trying to find a new hero. And I feel like DeSantis was that new hero that's probably not going to do the same shit, So it's hard to tell, but I never like when candidates from the same party tear each other down in order to better. It seems kind of fake and phony, and I don't know, man. I think they should be on the same ticket. If it's real, they should be on the same ticket.
Yeah, well, and just to show again, like they put the Idiocracy. I think that was the movie that I forgot to mention last episode, but because no one would put, if you actually wanted to win, would you put Mehmet Oz versus a guy who can't even? No, you would. You could just pick some random guy off the street and it would be a better candidate than him. I mean, it's purposely trying to lose, So
that's why it's like, go ahead.
No, I was just, and then I like DeSantis like you too. I thought like, wow, he's actually has a chance compared to Biden. But then I see these, I don't know if you saw like these, like the hate speech laws that they're putting. Have you seen those in Florida?
Yes, I have.
I think the quote was, whoever that guy is that was talking in the clip, was littering is a misdemeanor. But if it's littering with a hate crime, that's a 5 years that's a felony. And it's like, okay. So, dude, that this is going to be so broadly used. I mean, how do you determine what's a hate? I'm sure there's not. If someone damages a church, a Christian church, or an American flag, I bet you that one's not a hate speech. But I know what else will. If you
here's what I'll say, and I'll elaborate on that. So, one of the things, like, so Kurt, my cousin, the bod on No Mercy. He thought I was like obsessed with Trump to the fact that like he could do no wrong. This was like 2-3 years ago. He's like, so tell me one thing that bothers you about Trump. I said, okay, why is he so obsessed with Israel? Why? Yeah. I was like, why is the Republican Party so obsessed with Israel? Like, it almost seems Israel first rather than America first. And that's a problem. That doesn't make me anti-Semitic. What I'm saying is why is it there's so many that have like either dual citizenship or everything's Israel? Why are we protecting it so much? Why are we giving it so much money, so much attention? And then when you look at social justice policies, it's almost like the anti-Semitic is like the right-wing N-word. You know what I'm saying? So like on the left wing, good. you have all the N-word, all those words you can't say, like the transphobic and this, all this other stuff. And then on the right side, you have like anti-Semitic and J and all this other stuff that's it's like their version of what the left's doing. So it's two sides of the same coin. It's just that they have different, different words, but it's the same thing. It's the same flavor. So when I see these hate speech laws being passed, it's no different than this ridiculous hate speech laws being passed by Silicon Valley that have been shadow banning us. Like when we put hashtag MAGA and we get shadow banned because they think it's like, Nazi, or that, we say something about, transgender and it's, deemed transphobic. We say something about, how we don't like critical race theory and we're deemed racist. It's no different than what they're trying to do in Florida. And the Republicans that act like it's different are just as blind as the leftists. They really are. And it's something that's bothered me for a really long time. I don't really care. I don't feel afraid to say it. It doesn't make me anti-Semitic. I know what I am. I have Jewish friends, just like what they say, like I have black friends, like
the classic.
So what do you think about it? I read briefly about it, and it's par for the course for a Republican state.
I think that was the best comparison. It's it's like this it's the right seems to just join that I'm the best virtue signaler. I'm a better person than you. And since they can't fight, I mean, the right is a joke. At CPAC, they had Lady MAGA and whoever that Blair White is and stuff. Nothing that's conservative, but they use these people to try and defend the left. Say like, oh no, I'm not a homophobic. See, look, we're friends. We have Richard Grinnell or we have Blair White. We just don't, and it's just the same.
They'd be better off. They'd be better off shutting all of that out and just owning up to what the Republican Party is than doing all that. I'm serious. Dude. It would probably be better for the brand.
It's amazing because those topics, anti-Semitism topics, people that have they will defend and get angry. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you see it on Twitter, boomers especially. I think because it was that post-World War II propaganda was so strong on them. But if you say anything bad about Israel, it has not, they take too much of our money. They have nukes, even though they're not supposed to have nukes. Whatever you say, you're sounding anti-Semitic. They get like offended and defensive, defending this group that has nothing to do with them. And it's an amazing psychological operation that they were able to pull. But it's basically the battle of who can virtue signal better and take the upper hand, that I'm a better person than you. And
I'll go a step further, and this is going to piss more people off, but I don't care. Okay?
I love it.
I don't care.
Love it. Love pissing people off.
Don't think of what Kanye West said. Think about what happened. And if you take some of the stuff if you don't take it out of context and listen to what he said, there are some rational points. Okay. And there were some things that you can pull away from it and say, okay, these are legitimate points from somebody that's seen everything, the good, bad, and the ugly about the business. And there are some truths in there that you are blind if you are not paying attention to. And so that's why, when Kanye West did all that shit and everybody just kind of, went off the bandwagon real quick, that's what made me stop and say, all right, hold on. I'm going to chill for a second, because think about it like this. How is history going to write Donald Trump into the history books? Okay. If at all. So one of the ways that they're going to write Donald Trump into the history books is they're going to show him in the history books as an evil, maniacal, basically almost like a xenophobe, right? If the certain historians, which seem to be trending, have their way, in 50 years, once there's a degree of separation from Donald Trump, think of how he's going to be written in the history books. Yeah. And if he's not written in the history books, he's going to be canceled to where you can't look up Donald Trump and find any video of him speaking or saying anything, because they're going to either be afraid or they don't want his message to get out or whatever it is. So you have to say, okay, Hitler, okay, he's this evil person, genocidal, this, that, and the other. Okay, but why did an entire country get behind this dude? Okay, what good things did he do for his country? Were there some good contributions? Possibly. I know they were really advanced in technology, because, to quote Norm Macdonald, they took on the entire world in World War II and almost won. So they were doing something right as far as advancing in technology. Okay. You cannot ignore that. kind of stuff. Okay. So take the big picture with all of this stuff. All right. Now in 2023, I can't even find a video of him speaking on YouTube. I just want to see what the dude has to say. I think the dude was crazy and methed out. When I watch him like sitting down, he's like jittery and like, all this stuff. So he was on meth. He was a crazy dude, but I am addicted to learning, and I want to know the full scope of what went on, and I can't find it. And to me, that's very alarming, because that's exactly what's going to happen to Donald Trump. And then he's going to have the same image as Hitler, and the Nazi flag the MAGA flag is going to be just like a swastika in 50 years. And then someone like me that has Facebook posts and Instagram posts and years of documentation of being part of MAGA, I'm going to be looked at as a MAGA sympathizer in the year 2043, which I'm not okay with. So,
yeah, dude. And I just read this somewhere, but it was like a great point that these people, Mustache Man, Napoleon, Kaiser Wilhelm in World War I, history writes these people as these tyrannical, which probably maybe they were, but they're going for world domination. That's what they're going to conquer Europe. They're going to conquer the world. None of these people, Mustache Man, Kaiser Wilhelm in World War I, they, like you said, these were small. This is one country.
One country.
You think do you think the leader who has inspired millions of its fellow countrymen built all these advancements, do you really think they're that dumb to think that they can conquer the world with a 2% of the population? Like,
right.
That was probably never on their mind.
That's why the Norm Macdonald joke is so good. It's my favorite joke ever, because I always say you use comedy to get to the truth. And Norm Macdonald used that joke to bring up the topic, and he brought it up a lot. He was very curious about that topic, because it's absurd to say that. And it's absurd that the history books wrote that in twice, that's what the goal is. So, man, like, and that's why these speech laws in Florida, or in any anti-hate speech, because you can really write it any way you want. Anti-speech laws are the number one thing that I fight against, because what it does is it erases language and it erases history, just like your 1984, where you get the news story of today and you have to change the news story. It's to me, and since I've watched the deterioration of YouTube, I've even watched the deterioration of like DuckDuckGo, of all these sources that I no longer can get information from. To me, censorship is the biggest threat to our future than any actual physical war imaginable. So to me, when I see this in Florida, I say F you, man, because if a Republican's doing anti-speech laws, is no different than a liberal in California doing it. It's the same thing, man. Same thing.
We all know that they're the same side, but it's just it's amazing that people can't see that whichever camp they're ingrained in, that they can't make these connections. Like, oh, that's really similar to what we do, or the opposite. But yeah, it's just
it's crazy,
because I kind of like to say, I thought if and I know these guys are all liars, but I don't think Trump really has a chance to win. Maybe he does. Who knows? But so I like DeSantis for a lot of things. What'd you say?
If Trump didn't win in, what was it, 2020? Yeah. If Trump didn't win in 2020, he's not going to win in 2024. Nobody's going to let him win. They didn't let him win in 2020. That was obvious. They had to inflate the votes to 81 million to literally wheel a senile man into the office. Okay. So I think people need a wake-up call that I don't think it matters who the Republican ticket is, because, you had, at one point, you had two skull and crossbones candidates on, each end of the aisle, when you had Kerry and Bush running against one another. So either way, you're getting a Yale skull and bones candidate right there. So you think they're going to let a fringe candidate ever get into the White House after what happened in 2016, if you believe Trump was authentically elected into that election? I mean, think of it. They spent 4 years chasing a Russian narrative and chasing taxes and chasing everything. And then Joe Biden gets to office. He's doing all the shit that they were trying to get Trump on, including the Ukraine quid pro quo. I mean, dude, evidence was like crystal clear what Joe Biden's doing. but it's like the guilty accusing the innocent. It's the most common story that you could ever, I
like that. The guilty accusing the innocent.
It happens all the time. So if you think Trump's going to win, I mean, even if he does win, they're not going to let him in. There's no way.
My one buddy, his theory is that they got Biden on purpose to just destroy the country. So Trump will get back in and either cause just more chaos, more division, or because now the things he's going to propose, his followers are going to I saw, and not that this is just like a theory, but you heard Trump talking about, I don't think he called them Trump cities, but Patriot cities. I don't know. Did you see this? What he's trying to do? I mean,
to me, it's no different than Bill Gates and them making those smart cities. What is it?
That was it was like, is this a cover for these 15-minute cities? But it's a Patriot 15-minute city. So you're fellow patriots,
Well, if you put patriot or truth behind any, if you say the word truth or patriot, then, it's like saying Antifa or saying, BLM, to the other side. Let's make BLM cities,
Right.
It's the same thing. You just it's like putting a French word on beef sauce and call it au jus. Oh, well, we can charge more, it's beef sauce. It's not au jus. They squeeze the sauce out of the beef and you dip it back in it. So you're double dipping. So, if they really wanted to destroy an economy and have, hundreds of thousands of people lose their jobs, lose their businesses just to prove a point or for whatever reason, then screw them too, man, because these 4 years have been tough. I've seen, and in the restaurant industry, I've seen really good restaurants, like local restaurants, local places gone under. And guess what happens when the local places die out? The chains can buy them up, so we're losing local feel everywhere. In Memphis, which is known for local everything, local music, local barbecue, local culture, you're seeing a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. Now, bars aren't what they were before. So this is your idea of, trying to prove a point. I don't like it, and I thought things were going pretty good. And it's, pretty apparent that, they're heading in the wrong direction. The other thing is where are these 81 million people that voted for Biden? I don't see one person. I don't think I've ever met a person in 3 years that has either endorsed him publicly or said he's done a good job publicly, made a post on social media about the president in a positive way. I haven't seen one. And I would say 75% of my friends on Facebook are Democrats. I haven't seen one positive post about the president of the United States. When Trump was president, it was every day. People were proud of it. And I enjoyed the pride. I thought that was great. That was part of it, was the pride in the country. And it was very, it was very, I don't know, man. It was something I don't think we'll see again for a while, We won't see it even if Trump gets elected again. If he gets elected again, it won't be like it was.
No. And and
what it's like?
Changing what?
And then it will change something. It's like seeing Journey in 1986, right? With Steve Perry. All right. And then Steve Perry leaves the band, and then you see him in 2020 with a new lead singer, and you're like, that's not Journey, but all right, I'll go see it. that's what
perfect metaphor.
That's what Trump in 2024 is going to be. And guess what? I'm going to vote for him.
Dude, well, honestly, same, dude. But I wanted, so we always talk about COINTELPRO, and I kind of talked to this briefly last night, but I don't know if you saw this article. So Libs of TikTok, did you see? So Libs of TikTok has all, it looks like this organic account that started out of nowhere. They have all these ties to, like, her grandfather is Chabad, like this special Orthodox group of Judaism that has tons of power. Is one of the first, like that group in California. They met with Reagan at the White House. She's like has ties to Babylon Bee and stuff like that. And so when I read that, it was just so interesting to me, because it just reminded me of COINTELPRO, of creating all, like, what's organic, dude? What account, what personality on the internet is an organic created, not algorithm boosted? But did you see that about her?
Yeah,
whatever,
and
Chaya
the thing
Rainick
that
or whatever.
the thing, I'll be honest, that one got past me. Like because I thought that was an organic movement. And I don't know.
Dude.
But now it's to the point where okay, anything that blows up quick, you have to be worried about. Like, and I know Libs of TikTok got taken down, but think about that. I mean, even Roseanne Barr, like they built her up and then took it down. So there are things like honeypotting where the role is to build a large following, inflate, and to put all people into this one category. Now you have millions of people that are following Libs of TikTok. So you basically know where they align, and, you can make a master list, and then, you have the information that you need. And the reason why these things are important is because I think in my social media, so like after the 2020 election, I lost 5,000 followers. So I had 25,000. I went down to like 19.
On Twitter or both?
On Twitter. I don't remember how much I lost on Instagram, but so at first I was like, okay, are these accounts banned? And then I was thinking, no, they're not banned 20% of my following. So then I was thinking, how much of my account was either bots or COINTELPRO or, inflated MAGA accounts that weren't real? Because there were a lot of accounts that I followed that would have like 5,000-6,000 followers, and, they followed the same amount of people, and they always had like similar profiles with all these stars and, where we go, when we go, all this other shit. And then I noticed like a lot of them were gone. I mean, it was like right after the election, boom, gone, like 5,000.
Interesting.
And so I was like, is that the COINTELPRO? Was that the COINTELPRO, honeypotting? And so you want to think about that stuff. Like, was their mission over? Was the assignment over? When the election was done, assignment's over, clear these accounts, boom. And then I'm left with probably a more organic following at that point. Yeah. So with Libs of TikTok, it could be the same thing. I don't know, but it makes perfect sense just because it was allowed to grow that big. But it was still hilarious. So
no, and I follow the account, but it just, the point that I thought about later was like the Daily Wire. You have Matt Walsh. That's like his thing is and I totally think it's disgusting and they should ban it or whatever. I don't, dude, that should not be allowed, but it's just it's be deemed a safe issue. It's that safe, the Daily Wire, as you know, these places, they keep you right in that bubble because they don't want you taking that one step further. They want you to say, okay, well, oh yeah, I think that homosexual couples should they should be able to adopt. And I don't know where I stand on this issue, but it's just, they want to keep you right in this spot where they're fighting the culture war, but they're fighting it the same way the left's can, and you're going to lose, as opposed to just saying, dude, call me whatever you want. I don't hate. I'm not afraid of anybody. I don't despise people based on something. Do I disagree?
Why do you think
with
Andrew Tate?
Lifestyle? Yeah.
I don't know if Andrew Tate's COINTELPRO. Why do you think he got so big? I mean, why do you think No Mercy got big? And because there were a lot of stuff Tommy said that I was like, dude, stop. And then I was like, whoa, don't stop. Well, I mean, because from the beginning, dude, I was like, dude, there's a couple things I don't want to talk about. And as soon as I told him, I learned quick. The quickest way for him to bring up a topic is for me to say I don't want to talk about it. Hilarious. So like if I said I don't want to talk about what was the main one? Achrome. I was like, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Boom. 15 minutes. Hey Bob, what's about that Achrome? I'm like, dude. And then I'm on air and it's like there's nothing I could do about it. So I got to respect Tommy for going straight to it. I mean, like his whole philosophy is blow through just blow through it. Yeah. And it works. It worked. I mean, that's kind of what got Trump popular, during the debates, is the unapologetic nature of it. I think people respect that. And it actually changed my mentality towards everything to just give a straightforward, honest opinion and let the cards fall. There's going to be people that are going to disagree with you. I got a friend out, man. This is a really good story. I got a friend out. He listen, the guy works for Amazon. Okay. He's one of my best friends from high school. Gay. I mean, liberal as it all gets. And he called me last week just to say hello. And I said, what's up? I answered the phone. We talked for 5 hours and he doesn't give a flying fuck what I say. He's like, He goes, some of your Instagram, I just scroll through it. Some of your Instagram I just kind of laugh at. Some of it I agree with, but and I said, why haven't you of all people, Mr. living in Seattle, working for Amazon, doing algorithms, married to another man, all this stuff, you should be the one person that cancel me right away. And he said, I'm not going to let that get in the way of a friendship because I know who you are. Those are the people we need in like a divide and conquer, type society. So he respects the fact that I'm strong with what I say. That's kind of where I'm getting at. He said, listen, you have your opinions and you say them and you're not afraid. He said, I respect the fact you're doing. He said, I think you're insane on some things. I said, cool. I think you're insane on some things too. But that's what it should be right there. You should be unapologetic with your opinions without running the risk of having, or even worrying about whether somebody, cancels you or disowns you, because why would we all want to agree? I never understood that. Like, why would we all want to agree? I think free market, economy and free market ideas, let all the ideas out there. So that way we know which ones are on the fringe on both sides. If we narrow that goalpost, then the fringe becomes narrower until there is no fringe anymore. And it's like, hate to say it, Demolition Man, where everybody has the same philosophy. And if you don't follow the philosophy, you're in the sewer system, and that's what we're heading towards. So we need more people that are unapologetic and just say it like they think it is. I think that's really important. So.
I was talking about Tavistock Institute, and I never realized just how, I mean, I've always heard about them, but just how, since they started, like, I think 1914. And I was just shocked, dude, when that took hold, that I talked about it last night. So sorry for people that are listening twice, but one of the first things they did, they created this, it was a polling system. And that was one of the first things to get everybody on the same page. And, what do I always see in the news? Like, 70% adults quadruple vaccinated or whatever. And they do these polls over and over again. And so I know it's to get the weak people so they join a side, but I also think it helps create even more division. Like, it's just everything they do in every action we take is how can we split more people to fight each other? So then they join some group that we actually created, and it's a honeypot. And now we're going to get you to pretend to kidnap Governor Whitmer or whoever we decide you want to attack.
That ploy's worked over and over again, where you can shut down an argument with something like that, whether it's January 6th or whether it's a, break in at what Pelosi's husband's house, or it's then the conversation's over. That's the easiest way to do it. But as far as the polls are concerned, I mean, the United States started something called, it's either called like the Ministry of Public Information or something like that, which is similar to that, which, like you were saying, like these polls are propaganda machines. So I was a registered Democrat and I didn't change over. So during the 2016 election, I was getting all these like polls and surveys and stuff. And you should see the loaded language in the surveys too. Like, it's like one of those things, like no matter how you answered it, it made Trump look like an evil villain just by the way they worded the question. There was no right answer. So there are ways that you can even manipulate the phrasing of the question. And it's not accidental, to cause this type of divide, and then to inflate the numbers of, hey, this percentage of people thinks Trump's is a racist, or that and the other, because there really is no right answer to some of that stuff. So polls are, that 97% of science believe in global warming, so you're an idiot. Yeah, what was that famous book? What was that famous book, How to Lie with Statistics?
Yeah,
you ever hear about
Bill Gates' desk?
Yeah. The guy who wrote that, he ended up working for the tobacco companies, doing exactly that, and he never released his book, but he had he was going to release a book called like How to Lie, something about regarding tobacco. Basically, he was hired by the tobacco companies to lie with statistics. It was kind of like there was a movie called Thank You for Not Smoking, or Thank You for Smoking. Good movie, by the way. I recommend it.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show how, you can manipulate the public, even if they know the harm of cigarettes, into believing in a product with the right people and the right polls and the right statistics and the right mouthpieces, to back it up. So everything's a sales pitch, dude, including your vote. I mean, It's a sales pitch. Yeah.
Well,
it's crazy.
And Edward Bernays, the father of propaganda. It's sometimes it gets me almost sad, because I think, what are my beliefs that I even have, dude? I don't even know what's organically I thought of. And I think that's the point. You just have the people we listen to, people that we value their opinion. And them also might itself be like a psyop, like to make you question, oh, is this person getting paid by the CIA to do this? And it creates even more dissent and more confusion, because you don't know who you can trust, who's an actual believes this, who's sharing, someone like Alex Jones, who 90% of the time it's a lot of truth, but he throws in this 10%, and now you're stuck there. That's as further, you can't really go further than him. It's just such a perfect system, this ability to control the populace, and they've perfected it, dude. And they don't, we always talk about, and they definitely, MK Ultra and all that, they definitely can control with frequencies and, manipulate moods and things like that. But I don't even think they really have to do that anymore, dude. You just use these certain influencers, TikTok.
Yes.
I mean, you can control.
I think TikTok's the easiest way. You know how many people show me TikTok videos? No, for that exact reason.
You're not?
No.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff on there, but there's enough bad stuff. Like, I saw stuff that was obviously deep fake, or GPT or whatever it's called, Joe Biden stuff being shared around, and, other things like that were obviously false. And, just people coming up to me saying, I always get, look at this. And I'm like, man, like, it's a good way to, if it's just like with YouTube, where if you find the right avenue, there could be some good stuff, but that stuff will get banned. Boom. And then the stuff that's going to be algorithmically put in front of your face is either going to be designed to say, look at this idiot, how could he believe that, right? Which would destroy whatever movement it is, or get to, influence, very fragile people. Because a lot of the people that are on TikTok for large hour of the days are they're fragile. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but, they're the type of people that will get influenced by, mildly persuasive people. Because you can make a TikTok really quick, put a nice background behind you, put some ominous music and an article or two. Next thing you know, it's shared by 1 million people if TikTok wants it to. And now there's a whole new belief system that, could be completely misled, and so it's a dangerous slope to go down. So, like, even when I come on here, I don't really listen to podcasts anymore, because I don't want to be persuaded too much. So I try to stay away from it. And I do listen to my podcast just like I would listen to my own shows from an analytical standpoint. What can I do better? Just like you would watch tape, after a football game.
Like,
Because I read this quote that I live by. It's like, most of your opinions are shaped by people who are, highly gifted in the art of persuasion. So what percentage of my opinions were influenced by someone that is just really good at convincing you to believe what they want to believe? So what my goal is, dude, is to like lessen and lessen that, so I can become in control of my own brain, which is hard to do. It's very hard to do. And part of that is not downloading TikTok.
Do you think TikTok, I believe this. I mean, the opium wars, how, for 200 years we decimated China, not we, but the Skull and Bones, Britain. I mean, America's founding fathers, all of them, 90% of them, John Hancock, all of them were smugglers, and a lot of them were in the opium business. That's how they built America. That's how they built Britain. That's what kept them afloat for all these years. And so I go back and forth between, are we actually, and do we dislike China? Is this just a fake, a kayfabe WWE fight? But if it's not, this would be how you would get retribution, because I'm sure you've seen how the Chinese TikTok, they limit it to like an hour a day. It's like nationalistic math or whatever they have on there. and what they ship to the West, it's technological opium, dude. It's So you add the real opium, the fentanyl they're shipping over, and the mined opium. I mean, they're doing the same thing to us that we did to them.
That's actually brilliant. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it probably hits the same exact pleasure receptors, right? Didn't they notice that? Like, yeah. So
that's a great
point. What was the Chinese college spy program? It wasn't Copernicus, was it? Something like that. I mean, there was more Chinese spies in our colleges than anywhere else, and then they just take our technology, go back to China, and they, Chinese it up, and then, redistribute it. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a form of warfare if you think about it, right? Like, so if they're limiting their people, they know the dangers of it, or maybe they do, maybe they don't. It could be a form of control too, but you don't think there isn't 3-letter agencies that are in cahoots, like you were saying, WWE style. Now, if you want to talk WWE, you want to know who the third party is coming in off the top rope or coming in with a chair to bust the whole damn thing up.
I love
that
the
nobody's
metaphor,
talking about.
No. Who?
Okay. To blow up the match and just call it all off. India, baby. India.
Someone in the chat already continue.
India. I've been saying it for years that India is the NW. I mean, hey, there was a wrestling group called the NWO. So if you had the WCW and the WWF, now WWE, India is the New World Order, the Wolfpack. They were coming in, and nobody's talking about them. They're just one CEO after another, one CEO after another. Listen, they were on top of YouTube. They were on top of, Apple. They're on top of, I mean, every time one CEO steps down, another India CEO takes over. Okay.
And it's just, why?
Do you remember real quick? Why do I think?
Continue. If you're still going, I just want, but then why do you think
that
is?
There was a whole time where there was this no-fly zone during the beginning of the Ukraine-Russian conflict, and there were no planes within this one area. And this one plane drove straight through the no-fly zone, like didn't give a flying F. And it was Air India. It was an Indian plane that drove straight through a war zone. And that's the Indian mentality. They really don't give a crap, okay? Think about the Indian call centers that scam grandmas constantly out of unapologetically have tens of thousands of dollars. If you go to a gas station and it's run, and listen, I have Indian friends too. I'm not anti-Indian, but they charge outlandish prices. They don't give a crap. They will charge max dollar, try to get max value. That's fine. I mean, that's what our economy is about. But they're also happen to be really smart in the area of technology, which is where our world is going. So if he who controls technology controls the world, and you see that every single smart person coming from India comes to the United States to get a better technology, ends up in Silicon Valley controlling the tech, then it's only rightful to assume that India is going to be the one that takes over. Their population's increasing more than China's. Companies are leaving China to go to India, to work in India. The other thing is this: it's in a highly impoverished country. The problem is that the top 25% IQ in India is equal to the entire population of the United States. So they're top 25. The top 25 percentile as far as IQ, right? So the top 25% IQ equals the entire population of the United States. So their top 25% equals our entire population. Think of all the dumbasses you meet on your day-to-day life. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now take the top 25 smartest people in India, put it in the United States. What do you think could happen to our economy like overnight? So I want you to think about that. They're growing quick. They understand technology. They're very smart. They have big schlongs, and they're not afraid to swing them around.
But I always laugh at your post, and and you're right though, dude. All these CEOs, there's always been that brain drain to America. I mean, that's the goal. I work in recruiting. More Indian people will reach out to me constantly to get over here. And I don't think it's like a nefarious takeover as opposed to the Zionistic influence that we have in our government, but it is an odd phenomenon.
Their game. I respect their game. That's what I keep saying. I like game recognizes game. Like, I'm just saying I'm on to you. That's all I'm saying. Like, I see what you're doing. It's like in poker, like I found their tell, like, so, like other people at the like table don't realize, like, hey, look, that chips are stacking over there, but I know their tell. So you're not going to fool me, India. I'm on to you. Can't fool me.
Well, speaking of IQ, for the first time in 100 years, America's IQ has dropped. The first time in 100 years, it's officially, but which should not be surprising to anyone. I don't know if you watch. There's one guy on Instagram. He's not white. I don't know what maybe he's Arab, but he does like the man on the street questions, like things like what country borders America, and people, how many presidents have we had, or whatever. And they can't answer any of the like simpler questions than that, and they can't do it. So
let me ask you this: where are they asking those questions? That's important.
New York City. Usually, it seems to be New York City and malls.
So
high class people are always at malls.
Here's the thing about New York, and I realize this living there. First of all, and if you're from New York City, I'm gonna tell you straight to your face, y'all don't know shit, and you think you know everything, and that's the problem. There's this famous picture of the New Yorker magazine in like my mom had it in her laundry room, and I wish I could send it to you. Is there a way for me to send it to you if I find it? If not, don't worry about it. So I'll just describe it. And it was in the laundry room. I never knew what it meant, but the picture was of downtown New York. It was a painting, and everything was in great detail. Fifth Avenue had all the buildings perfectly detailed and everything. Okay. And then in the background, there was like, scenery, and it said like New Jersey and, Connecticut. And it was just kind of like detailed, but not really. And then behind it was just like China was kind of over here, and, Europe's kind of over there. It's like all blurry, and like India's over here, like in the background. And so what they're trying to say is people that live in New York only see what's inside of the 5 boroughs of Manhattan, and everything else doesn't mean anything outside this tiny little island, which, by the way, didn't even exist a couple hundred years ago. It's a man-made concrete prison that you built for yourself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the Isle of Manhattan is a baby compared to, really. I mean, I don't know how old when the Isle of Manhattan was purchased, but I mean, if you just think of the development over the last 100 years. Yeah. So the point being, people in New York are so New York centric that they really don't have a grasp of reality. And if you put them in a lot of different situations, not even like bringing them out to like the country in Mississippi, just take them out of their element of New York City and take them to upstate New York. They won't know what to do. It's like the Paris Hilton Simple Life stuff, like they won't know what to do outside the walls. Like when I was a freshman, people were asking me if I didn't wear shoes and worked on a farm and drove a tractor, and they were surprised that Memphis had traffic lights. I had a girl who's in college this is Fordham University, which is like a.
Oh, is that where you went?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah. So Fordham University, which is like AA Harvard, I guess you could say, like a AA Harvard. A girl who got in to Fordham, she passed all the tests. She, got accepted. Asked me if Memphis was in Cleveland. So not only was she asking me was one city inside another city, she thought Cleveland was a state. Okay. These questions were asked to me constantly throughout my freshman year. And that's when I realized that, people are equally, if not more detached in large cities than they are in the country. I would say way more detached from the reality in the real world than they are in the country. You go into the country, ask those same questions, you'll get a way higher percentage of correct answers because they're very intact. They're very tapped into what's going on because they have to be. They have to be. They don't have a choice.
You're right. And there's like these major cities, LA, New York, you're right. They're so focused, and their beliefs, they can't even understand walking into someone's shoes from the middle of the country or from a rural area. I mean, they just are so I don't know what they think of, but maybe they don't think they exist, or I don't know what they're confused. They're the ones but you're right.
Where do they think their food comes from? Like that, the steak that they eat, the chicken, all that fancy food. Like, this is so Joe Rogan of me to say this, whatever, I don't care. I think everybody should slaughter if they eat meat at some point, should slaughter the meat that they consume, to see, to get a better understanding and a respect for the animal too, and appreciate the meat, that gives you life. So that it almost humbles you, because I've only done it once, and it humbles you.
What kind of animal?
It was a deer. Yeah.
Nice,
so I mean,
dude,
we literally, dude, like straight up, like, I mean, and when you slaughter a deer and then eat the meat, like right there and then, it tastes different. It's like,
I bet
it's like rougher. It's more like you feel almost like I hate to say, you feel like very like cavemanish.
I'm sure it's like kind of euphoric, dude.
Yeah, it is. And I also noticed that people eat slower, and they eat with more care and delicacy, and they enjoy it more, and they're happier while they're consuming it too.
I bet,
because it was like a whole event. And the funny thing is, I've only done it one time, which is kind of counterproductive to what I'm saying, but just having that experience one time just kind of, made me realize and be grateful for the butchers that have to do this every single day. Because I have friends that do this stuff all the time and are desensitized to it, taking a cow or a pig and just going,
right.
Getting it.
Dude, should like the war, any supply chain collapse, which they're all like right about to, I'm reading like a book right now, like they're not talking about it, but I don't know if you've noticed, like at the grocery, like certain things are, and people are, eggs are expensive and all this stuff like that, but the supply chains crashed, dude. If it ever recovers, it'll take 10 to 15 years it's so far backed up, but they've created it perfectly. If that crumbles anymore, society will be fully and and I think Kissinger is the quote, "You control the food supply, you control the people." Because what would people do? I'm not in New York City, but I'm a suburbs kid. I've never hunted. I've never even
that's
been
important.
fishing.
That's important that you say that, because he who controls the supply controls the food, unless you're self-sufficient.
Right.
And which is why they're afraid of people living off the grid or having their own farms or having their own livestock. Then. Yeah, really. I mean, if you look at what Owen Benjamin did, and he's the first person to get canceled. I mean, and you say what you want about Owen. He's got a lot of things that whatever, he called out the Jays as well, by the way. That's what got him destroyed. So he went to his own little farm, became self-sufficient, had his own, vegetable garden, own animals, livestock. And, that's what they fear more than anything, in my opinion, is that somebody being self-sufficient, because then you really can't be controlled, dude. If you're growing your own food, cooking your own meat, living on your own, you can't be controlled. So my advice, and I've said this for so long, is y'all better become friends with some rednecks, dude, because they're the ones, if it breaks down, you better go to them. They got the guns, they got the knives, they've got the training, they can survive, they could build trees, they can probably siphon water out of urine, they know which berries are poisonous and which ones aren't, they know which snakes are poisonous and which ones aren't, they probably know how to get fish, they could probably fish better, they could hunt better, and they could protect, because they could shoot better, I guarantee you, than some dude that's been living on Fifth Avenue in New York City. Imagine if the supply chain breaks down and you've done nothing but, work in a hair salon your whole life, and
dude,
eating sushi. Yeah.
My last question is, where do you see America? So I know that we talked national divorce, balkanizing the country. What do you think? What happened? Because I think it's crazy, and I didn't pay attention. I started 4 or 5 years ago. I started paying attention, but it's obviously crazier, more divided than it's ever been. What is either the solution, or what do you see happening? Because my friend's theory, he thinks they're going to vote Donald Trump in to cause the utter chaos, the destruction, because the economy's tanked. They got to do something. Something's got to happen. Something's got to give. So he thinks that'll be the perfect chance to put Trump in. It'll cause the utter chaos. But what happens to America in this next 5 years? Because something's happening.
Yeah, I mean, the solution is obviously not a government official, right? And we got to stop chasing that. We got to stop chasing, like, it's like falling in love with a stripper, you know. It's the same thing. These guys are strippers, and gals, they'll do whatever they say to get your dollar. It's no different than someone coming up to you and shaking their tits in your face and telling you that they love you. And then you're just like, I mean, because that's essentially what we're doing. And that's why I'm going to vote for Trump and MAGA, but I'm not going to put money towards it. I'm not going to wear the hat. I'm not going to give my energy to it, but I will go and I'll put a vote, and I won't look at it as a solution. Once again, the solution is to look inward. You know, like I was saying just 10 minutes ago, be as self-sufficient as you can. Learn a skill. Even if you're playing guitar, that's a skill. Entertainment's going to be necessary if it breaks down, because people need their sanity. Remember in the Civil War, there's that drummer dude that's just his job is to keep people's morale up, because without that beat or anything, you know, instead of marching, you may fall over with your foot that has whatever disease from walking for 50 miles. So you'd be amazed what happens with even music motivates. Learn a skill, learn how to shoot, learn, grow a garden, learn how to cook, learn how to anything that will give you that will make you an asset if things start to break down. Because then if things start to break down, you're talking barter systems. You're going back to the eras of, oh, you're a blacksmith, I need a sword. Oh, you make potatoes, I'll trade you potatoes for that sword. So make yourself valuable by learning a skill. I think as long as that happens, I think we'll be all right. I'm not worried about governments ruining shit, because I try to pay attention to it and take care of myself as much as I can.
I think a good tip is don't join the Patriot Front or any other militant alt-right group. That would be so those are the things you should do. Don't message friends that you think you met on the internet talking about overthrowing the government.
Can I ask you one thing before we go?
Yeah.
Now that you've had a couple years to think about it, January 6th, what was that? What was it, dude? Because I learned more from that day than I learned about anything else. Like, was it, I mean, obviously it was a setup, right? Obviously it was not organic. Obviously there was no violence, in my opinion. I mean, to my knowledge.
Besides Ashley Babbitt. Yeah.
Yeah. And yes. And, there were guards ushering people in, but why? Like, okay, if you look at the cascade effect of it, it shut down the argument of the election, right? But were both sides involved in it? It was obviously an inside job, but it was our new 9/11. It really was. I hate to compare it, but if you really look at what it did to the political landscape and to really just our psyches, and I think the whole January 6th COVID, that was like a new 9/11 kind of thing. It wasn't as deliberate and immediate, but it had the same effect. So what do you think? Like, what do you think January 6th was? What do you think it did to
Dude, I think it was instilling that fear. I mean, I was talking about this last night. Like Kings, the absolute, they every day was terrifying for them. What am I going to get overthrown today? Are they going to revolt? And what do I have to do to stop this? That fear is gone. And maybe that there was a little fear of that in is it still possible? And they showed the America that you will get thrown in solitary confinement. We will find every single one of you, no matter if you're an 80-year-old grandma. And now, I mean, God, if anything, something crazier, which happens next. How many people are really going to do this, dude?
I mean, that's the other thing. It's training for the next time something happens. Like, even in Memphis, after there was 3 cops that, killed a unarmed black man in the streets, but they were black cops. They killed an unarmed black man, and Al Sharpton's down there. It made national headlines. Is there going to be a riot? And then nothing happened. And I was shocked, because there were riots everywhere else, but in Memphis, nothing happened. So what made people stay at home? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's going to make people either because I don't know about you. There's no way in hell I'm going anywhere near Washington during an election ever again. Right?
No.
So do I want the FBI showing up to my door just because I was there? I had a buddy who was there and was, you know, potentially losing his 6-figure job just because he was there and posted about it. He almost got canceled by our local paper. Like, it was crazy just because he was a prominent person and he posted like one status of him being there. You know, he was, if you really think about it, when you were at the Trump rally, you were 45, I think it was like a 45-minute walk from the actual, you know, where all that stuff went down. So that to me, that was one of the most well orchestrated events I've ever seen. And as I was seeing it, I was like, it was almost like a theater and a stage setup. I mean, it had like the high rises, like if you were at like at a theater watching a play, and the way it was just, I mean, just funneled them in there, man, like lambs to the slaughter. Never seen anything like it. So I think that's gonna prepare us for the next election, where we ain't, you know, nobody's gonna.
No,
it's gonna be hard to question the results of the next one, which is why I don't think
did
Trump
a great job. Yeah, it squashed all dissent. Any physical dissent, good luck, dude. And it's going to come to posting on the internet soon. And it's looking rough, but I still have faith. I have optimism, but
I do too.
Still, yes. Well, Bob, thanks for doing this again, dude. Anytime you're free, where can the people find the Bob's lessons? And all those good things.
Here's the best thing y'all can do for me right now. And this is a self-promotion plug, but I have to do
Love it.
My band, we work hard, and we're up for top rock band in Memphis, Tennessee, against some really good bands. And it's good because if we win this, we get, much more recognition, higher paying gigs, more money in my pocket, basically. So this is part of my showing you guys, the solution to the problem of what's going on in this world is to economic independence, and promoting yourself is the best way to do it. So if you want to help me out, you can find me on Instagram at Bob's Lessons. My latest post, you can vote for my band, which is called Basket Case. There's a phone number and also a QR code to where you can either text to vote for us, or you can scan a QR code and vote for us. I'll have it all over my Instagram. So if you go to at Bob's Lessons, cast a vote for my band, you can vote every day for Basket Case, and the category is Best Rock Alternative Artist. Vote for Basket Case.
Because I'm going to link. It's your last. Which post is it?
Let's see. So second to last.
Oh, I got it. Calling all IG supporters.
Calling IG supporters. Please vote for my band, Basket Case.
I'll put it in the chat here too.
Yeah, I might as well utilize the following that I have to.
Dude. Well, I'll vote. I'm on the computer all day. I'll vote for you as many times as I can, buddy. So I'll post that link in the show notes. Yeah. Perfect.
I figured this election's a little bit more organic than a political election. So each vote is going to count, by the way. No absentee ballots, no mail-in ballots. One vote goes straight to me.
Nice, dude.
A true fair election.
I interrupted after that.
That's it.
Oh, all right, dude. Well,
where can we find you?
You can find me at COJAC Podcast, everybody. If you're new, at COJAC Podcast, and that's where you can find me everywhere. But Bob, as always, thanks, dude. I'm told Bob I'm gonna be reaching out every week, so I'm gonna have we're gonna be getting this more consistently if he's not too busy, and I appreciate it, dude. So thanks.
I'm never busy. I just appear busy. That's the trick.
I don't believe that. But all right, everybody, you take care. Have a great day. Thanks for listening, guys. Peace.
All right, see you.